Welcome to NAIOP Solutions Series program titled Talent Realities, Finding and Developing Your Firm's Next Leaders. My name is Sandy Hudson. The Solutions Series programs are available at no cost. These mini webinars run less than 30 minutes, and our goal is to provide you with some quick tips and insights, all types of strategies and tactics to help you succeed in today's business environment. Do you have a topic suggestion? Please email us at solutions@naiop.org to let us know what topics you would like to hear about in future programs. Next slide, please. NAIOP has produced the popular Solution Series programs for 3 years. Did you miss one of our informative topics? The archives of these programs are available to NAIOP members at no cost through the on-demand bookstore. Examples of past programs are listed on the current slide. Our topics cover niche development, finance, marketing, and more. Visit the NAIOP website at www.naiop.org for links to the archives. Next slide, please. And now let's get on with our program. With us today is Sheila Vertino, Vice President for Information and Research at NAIOP Corporate Headquarters. She has been on staff with NAIOP for 16 years. Sheila heads the Information and Research Department, which monitors and creates industry content. She also serves as the Editor-in-Chief of Development Magazine, NAIOP's flagship publication. Additionally, she manages all research projects for the NAIOP Research Foundation and directs the Industry Trends Task Force, NAIOP's visionary think tank. Welcome, Sheila. Thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Sandy. Today I'm going to talk about talent and what we can expect in the near future because we're going to be moving from a period of high unemployment to full employment, and that's something most companies probably haven't considered yet. It's important because as real estate companies are just beginning to think about regrowing, you might find yourself confronting an unexpected challenge in terms of the talent you'll need. My presentation today is going to talk about why this is going to happen and also how you can take steps to prepare yourself and your company to weather this storm successfully. This is a topic we've been tracking actually since before the recession hit. We talked about it probably back in 2006 at the CEO leadership retreats. And David Pierce Snyder did a research project for us in 2007 where he outlined what was going to be coming. And then last year at Industry Trends Task Force, Mark Lautman, who's an author of When the Boomers Bail, he talked more about what that's going to mean to companies in terms of how you'll have the human resources to go forward. Then just this year, I came across a terrific white paper that was written by Sarah Sladek and Bob LeBombard. It's talking about America's aging workforce. And the thing that made me sit straight up was that they identified the top 4 industries that were going to be affected by an aging workforce. And sure enough, there was real estate as one of those top 4. Now, sometimes when we look into the future, our crystal ball is a little cloudy. But on this one, it really isn't, because what we're looking at is a demographic squeeze. And I'll show you more about that in a minute. Anyway, here's what a lot of people are thinking. Or say, well, okay, there's a recession, and some baby boomers are delaying retirement because the nest egg got wiped out, and so they're going to continue working for a few more years. So maybe that talent war that everybody keeps talking about isn't going to happen. But the myth really is that the delayed retirements have become the norm and that this isn't going to be a problem. The truth is that it's going to be a huge problem. And in the white paper referenced earlier, they talk about the difference between kind of a rain shower and a Category 5 hurricane. This is a big deal. And so I remember David Pierce Snyder, he said, people say, well, what about outsourcing? We can solve this problem of a talent shortage by outsourcing to other countries. Or, we could increase our immigration. Or, technology is going to give us increased productivity. And he said, even with all of those things, we're still going to be facing a huge talent shortage. But I don't want you to despair. I do have some ideas and some steps you can take to prepare. I'm going to use an analogy of the hourglass here to show you exactly what those demographic cohorts look like. At the top here, we have the boomers, and that's the boomers are the group that everybody's familiar with. We have 78 million boomers out there. Those are the people in your company who are between 65 and 48 years old this year. By 2015, they're going to comprise 30% of the workforce. So you can see that some boomers are retiring, and they'll only be 30% of the workforce. Next on the ladder is a much smaller cohort, almost by half. There's only 48 million of the next demographic generation. And those are the people that we talk about as Gen X, also called the baby bust generation because it's so much smaller, 47 to 31 years old. So by 2015, 20% of the workforce. But these are the people who have been stuck in middle management waiting for those boomers to retire. So while boomers have been kind of camping out, I think we have to ask a question. Are these people who are stuck in middle management, are they prepared to take over top leadership, or have they been kind of just at idle for a while and not really ready to assume the reins? When we look at this small group, another difficult thing that we have to keep in mind is that this situation is going on around the world. So every company that wants to grow is going to be looking to this small generation to fill those slots of leadership. And hope is on the way. This is a group that is this is the bottom of the hourglass here. This is a cohort that's almost as big as the baby boomer generation, 80 million. So they're 30 to 17 years old. By 2015, they'll be 39% of the workforce, so more than baby boomers. It's a huge source of talent. It's untapped. The problem is that we don't have a sense yet of what their potential is. And these are people who are going to be needing a lot of training, a lot of development in order to move into those positions of leadership. You take a look at this chart, and it shows the differences in terms of the different generations. They've got the boomers at the top, followed by Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z. And we're not going to talk about them because obviously they're not in the workforce yet. And then the time frames, 2005, 2010, 2015, 2020. And so you can see if you look at 2015, as I referenced in those earlier slides, that the boomers are becoming less of from 42% to 30%. At the same time, Gen X stays pretty solid straight across 22% because they're a small cohort. Gen Y is there to fill in. They're actually going to be more of Gen Y in the workplace by 2015. As you can see here, there'll be 39% as opposed to the boomers at 30%. Okay, so how long is this pinch going to last? Well, you can see from this slide that the Gen Y is going to be huge, but it is going to take them another 10 years before they're fully in the workforce. So this is going to be a problem that is not going to solve itself overnight, and we're going to have to deal with it. We're going to have to create leadership. So just to recap, the boomers will be leaving the workforce. The group that's next on the ladder, Gen X, there are not enough of them to fill the positions that are going to be open, and they are not fully prepared. They have been in the workforce, but they're not fully prepared to take over leadership. Next on the ladder is Gen Y, and where we said there are a lot of people, a lot of potential, but they're just not ready because they're young and unformed. Okay, so the trick now is to figure out how are you going to attract these young professionals to your company. This is what research tells us that these younger professionals are looking for. They're looking for a hip industry, you know. So how is your company going to compete in a world where people want to design video games? You know, is your company going to be hip enough? Is it going to be cool enough? Is there a way, perhaps, that you could focus some of your branding on the romance of development? I mean, it is visionary, and it can be very cool in terms of what you do and creating quality workplaces for people. So give some thought to how you can kind of market and package your company so that it's more attractive to young people. The second bullet, I think, is something everybody wants. So, but definitely these people want challenging work. They don't want to be, you know, given just minor tasks or things that don't have a significant part of the final product and be part of the goals that are being set by the company. The third one might be tough because I think that the real estate industry has a reputation for being tech averse. So except for the road warriors, people who are out there with their mobile phones and things like that, smartphones, typically people have been reluctant to embrace new technology. This could be a place where the younger generation in your company could really be helpful because they can help you to understand the technology that you need, and they can actually be showing you leadership skills in adopting new technology. The fourth bullet has to do with flexible schedules. 2 to 5 people, they really prefer to just kind of be much more flexible and telework. They're the kind of people who want to, you know, work from wherever they are. So that's going to be a culture change for most companies. But you might want to consider how can you adapt your company somewhat to be more attractive with regard to flexible flexible schedules. The next part is this idea about recognition. Of course, everybody wants recognition, but the best thing might be to ask these young people in your company, you know, these are the things that we typically offer. Do you have some other things that might be of more interest to you in terms of how you are recognized? And so, you know, it could be money, it could be, you know, a trip, I don't know what it might be, but the idea here is to ask before you assume that this is what might motivate them. The other thing that I want to mention here is that there is a perception among young people. They are very independent, and they perceive, they're quick to perceive micromanagement. And I think this is an area where it's good to take some leadership on your part to explain the need for management and why it is not micromanagement, and get feedback from young people so that this is going to be an area where you're going to disagree on the level of management and how to set those systems in place. And also managing up is a skill that most young people need to learn. The last bullet has to do with opportunities for learning and advancement, and this is a very positive thing that people want to learn more and become better at their job. So, so those are the things that will describe a company that is going to be attractive and be able to attract those young professionals. Okay, time for a reality check. Okay, we're going to take a look at your company. The first thing you're going to do is take a look at your talent composition. So basically what this means is you want to have a talent plan. So you're looking at each person in your company, and these are the skills that the people have. Then you're going to look at an employee attrition plan. And that means, you know, how many years do you anticipate that this person is going to stay in that position before something happens. They might retire. You know that people jump, and so you're thinking, oh, this person might be on the fence, and we might not be able to build on him or her. So you've got to give this some thought as to how you think your company is going to be structured going forward. Where do you need new talent, and what exactly is it that you need? So it's kind of wiping away some of the job descriptions that you have and taking this opportunity to create new job descriptions that will better suit your company as it goes forward. When you write out this plan, you want to have those, like any good plan, specific steps, target dates, measurable goals, and you want to update it annually. This is the what we call here at NAIOP Corporate no spots. So we have a strategic plan, and no spots means no strategic plan on top shelf. The thing that is agonized over, it's written up, and then it's in a binder, and nobody ever looks at it. Well, you can't have that because that's just really a waste of time. However, I can tell you from experience, having to update this thing annually is tedious, and so the best thing is to communicate to your employees that this is something to be taken seriously, and tie compensation to it, to making sure that that strategic plan and this talent plan is a living document that is updated annually. Okay, so we have the talent plan, and now we're looking, we have Gen X on the ladder, and we have Gen Y coming in much younger, but in volume beneath Gen X. So you want to be looking at some people in Gen Y and which are the ones who might leapfrog over Gen X into positions of leadership. So as you're looking for people, really what you're looking for are not lone wolves. You're looking for somebody who is good as part of a group and is collaborative. And as you look at this fella in the picture, if you can get past that crazy hairdo, he is going to bring fresh ideas to your company. So how can you, what other things can you look at here in terms of how he has leadership traits? The biggest thing that's interesting about this generation is that they have worked as teams all through school, from elementary school all the way up through college. They're very used to working on teams, and so they have a collaborative style, which is great for building development teams. The thing that they probably need to learn is this element of building strategic alliances, because that's kind of the next step. How do you put together strong teams with other groups, and how do you create the communication lanes there back and forth so that you can kind of grow your company using your own leadership and leadership of other companies too. So, the thing here, it reminds me when you look about skill development, it reminds me of the sports drafts, that are going on right now. When these coaches sit around and they're looking at prospects, they're putting down the list of skills, and then they're also putting down the list of weaknesses. So you're going to go back to that list of skills that you developed in terms of what do people in your company need. If this job description, these are a very detailed list of skills. Here's the person we want in this role. He or she has these skills but is lacking other skills. So you're going to identify those gaps, and then what you're going to do is try to figure out how to fill them. Well, we'll put in a little plug here for NAIOP courses. They're very helpful for filling in some of those skill gaps, and those are offered offered in person. They're offered at chapter levels. So I encourage you to take a look at the NAIOP.org website to see the list of skills that are available to NAIOP members and to non-members. So you're going to look at the skills, you're going to identify the gaps. Now, this is a very interesting idea about mentoring. The idea, a lot of times people are afraid of mentoring or kind of scared off by it because it just seems so overwhelming and unending, and you just like, oh, I don't think I have the time for this. Here, to approach somebody and say, I would like you to mentor this young person or this, developing leader in our company on this skill. So asking somebody to mentor on a specific skill is attainable and doable. That doesn't seem as overwhelming as just asking somebody to mentor another person completely. The other thing that's possible is a shadow program where maybe you've got your eye on somebody to kind of develop him or her into a developer. So let that person shadow somebody who's already doing that job. Stay with them through a couple of days, see how that job goes. What are the challenges of it? What are the rewards of it? And see, it's a way to kind of test it out without much investment at all. A long time ago at one of the forum symposiums, the keynote speaker was Howard Putnam, and I never forgot what he said when he was talking about, when they created Southwest Airlines and how they built that amazing brand and that amazing cohort of talent that they have. And he said that his secret was to hire for attitude and then teach skills. Because you can't teach attitude. So I think if you do the things that we were talking about before, where you're looking for leadership skills and you're also trying to figure out what the other business skills are, then you will have both parts of this formula for success. Now, it's no secret to anybody in business that young people have a very high turnover rate. They are hard to bond with. And so here's some ideas. Once you find these people that you want to grow your company on, how can you keep them? The number one thing that HR people talk about is this idea of onboarding. And that means like, the first day, the first week, first month, how do you bring people into your company so that you're bonding with them? They understand your culture, they understand how they fit in, and they gradually become part of it. A long time ago, I worked as a marketing director for a large civil engineering firm, and they had a very organized program. So after 1 month, I got the embossed, the logo coffee mug. And then after 2 months, I got the embossed cap. And then, 6 months, I got a jacket, and so on. And it was the kind of thing that you looked forward to because it meant that you were really becoming part of the team. So that might not be the right thing for you, but give some thought to onboarding and how you bring people in and the attention that you pay to bonding them to your culture. The other thing that makes sense is to create this probationary period, so that they can test you out, you're testing them out, but it's not you're not making a full investment in them in terms of trying to develop leadership skills and sending them to classes and things like that. It's a probationary period where they are going to be testing themselves for you. Another idea is a little riskier, and people might not bite on it, but this whole idea of temporary to hire, where you hire somebody, but they're not really a full employee of yours, and this is basically just another type of probationary approach. So given your, so you try to do all of these things, and then you still have to look at your turnover rate. When people leave, what is your turnover rate? Talk to your peers and other companies, what is their turnover rate? Maybe they would be willing to share their success techniques with you. When people do leave, it's always wise to have an exit interview and 360 interviews where basically people evaluate all around them, up and down. Is another very insightful way of determining how people are, whether they're satisfied or dissatisfied, where those areas of friction are between the employee and company. But the most important thing to take away here is after you do all this, you have to figure out what kind of changes you're going to make. If somebody tells you that and you hear it over and over, these are areas where there's that friction, then what are you going to do to make sure that you retain people? remember that we talked about earlier that this is a global talent war. And so this is an area where you're going to have to work really much harder than you have in the past so that you will be protected from the poaching that is sure to come. Is there anything more critical development than the contacts and the relationships that we have? It's hard to say. And so one thing that is important to do is to codify. How is it that you do the things that you do? If you're going to have a lot of people retiring, you need to capture what are the processes, what are the political ramifications, why do you do things a certain way, what have you learned as you've gone through the process over the years, so that you can kind of put in writing what it is that your culture is, what your processes are, and also help people to not make the same mistakes that might have been made in the past. Networking. How, there are people on your company I know who are excellent at networking. How can you tap what it is they do and codify it so that their networking and negotiating skills are captured and passed along as part of the culture to your up-and-coming talent? And then a very basic thing is just to make sure that the contact information that everybody has is up to date. I don't mean the specific workers, I mean their Rolodex, it's to use an old-fashioned term, but their list of contacts, make sure that everything in there is up to date, all the addresses and databases. And if you, this is also a good time, if you maintain more than one database, it's a good time to get that consolidated and deduped, so that you have one solid system that everybody is using. As you're going through this is another tedious process, but take the time to write down those details and the preferences of these different people. Notes, maybe about spouse's name or schools that children are going to. Whatever you know about your contacts, put them in this database. As I said, another tedious project and one that probably will need to be tied to compensation for the people who are expected to do it, or it simply won't get done. Okay, so I think we see now that there's definitely going to be competition for talent. It's going to be fierce. And so I think giving you some ideas here as to how you can put a talent management system in place. And basically, if it isn't on your radar screen now, I really encourage you to begin thinking about it and planning for it. It is going to be a coming storm of epic proportion. So being aware and prepared, as always, is the best way to make sure your company has the people it needs to grow as development reaccelerates. I also encourage you to take a look at the America's Aging Workforce white paper by Sarah Sladek and Bob LeBombard. And here's some contact information for them. They are very knowledgeable, and I'm sure would be more than willing to chat with you about talent management and how to be successful. Thank you. Thank you.
Sheila, thanks for a great presentation and discussing how to attract and develop young talent to become leaders in the commercial real estate industry. Our next Solution Series program on the new borderless marketplace will be available on June 19th. Watch your email for NAIOP source or corporate e-newsletter for the program link. Thank you for listening to our session and have a good day.